There are moments in life when someone simply says hi, and yet, something in that greeting feels different. It lands somewhere deeper. It lingers. It disrupts the emotional temperature around you. And most men overlook these moments, not because they are uninterested, but because they never learned how to listen to the language that is not spoken. A woman's greeting is never accidental because every small detail of how she acknowledges you carries emotional weight, even when it seems casual or automatic. Human connection is built on subtle interpersonal cues, and greetings are one of the most condensed forms of communication. In just a few seconds, she is signaling comfort, curiosity, boundaries, or possibility. Her tone, her pacing, the way she looks at you or chooses not to, these are indicators shaped by instinct rather than strategy. People reveal their relational intentions long before they articulate them, and women are especially fluent in expressing interest through nuance rather than declarations. When a woman greets you, she is not simply announcing her presence. She is offering a tiny snapshot of what you evoke in her. If her voice softens, it suggests emotional attunement. If she pauses before speaking, it may reflect anticipation or the desire to be perceived thoughtfully. If she smiles differently at you than she does at others, perhaps warmer, slower, or more intentionally, it's often her way of signaling that you occupy a unique space in her attention. These signals emerge from a blend of instinct and curiosity, and while they might seem subtle, they often carry more honesty than conscious communication. Most men overlook this because they've been conditioned to focus on explicit clues. They wait for clear invitations, direct flirtation, or unmistakable signs of interest, not realizing that for many women, the invitation begins with how she simply says hello. Her greeting is a negotiation of emotional distance. She may lean in, shortening the space between you. She may hold eye contact a second longer than necessary, giving you a glimpse of the warmth she feels but may not yet voice. She may greet you with a distinct energy, an energy that feels different from the way she interacts with others in the room. Even her hesitations carry meaning. A slightly nervous greeting can reflect attraction that she's trying to manage with composure. A playful greeting can be her way of testing whether you can match her emotional rhythm. A gentle, genuine greeting can show that she feels safe, seen, or drawn to the calmness you project. These nuances are not random, they are her emotional fingerprint in the moment. When a man learns to observe these subtleties, he enters a deeper level of relational intelligence. He begins to understand that attraction is rarely announced loudly, it is whispered through micromovements, vocal shifts, and the emotional intention behind the smallest gestures. This awareness doesn't make him manipulative, it makes him present, receptive, and capable of engaging women in the sophisticated emotional language they naturally speak. Desire often reveals itself quietly because attraction is not always expressed through bold moves or explicit declarations. For many women, the earliest signs of interest appear in the subtle spaces between words, in the way their presence shifts when you walk into a room, or in how their energy softens or brightens when addressing you. These are signals governed less by conscious decision and more by instinct, by the natural human tendency to express what we feel before we fully understand it. Desire leaks through micro-expressions, small gestures, and slight changes in behavior long before it becomes verbalized, and a greeting is one of the first places where these quiet cues come to life. When she greets you with a different tone than she uses with others, she is revealing something about the emotional world you activate within her. It may be a warmth she doesn't offer freely, a spark of excitement she tries to hide, or a softness that appears only in your presence. These changes are often fleeting but unmistakable. The way her eyes momentarily light up, the way her body angles toward you, or the way her smile feels less automatic and more intentional, these are quiet expressions of desire. They emerge in the fraction of a second, in the intimate space where instinct speaks louder than words. Quiet desire is also found in hesitation, because attraction often disrupts routine. She may greet you with a slight pause, as though gathering herself. She may stumble over a word, revealing a momentary loss of composure. She might greet you more gently, as if choosing each element of that moment with care. These soft disruptions are signs of an inner world responding to your presence. They are not always deliberate, but they are deeply revealing. Many men look for obvious signals and miss the quieter invitations. They expect flirting to be direct, confident, or unmistakable, But desire often begins as a question, a curiosity, a tentative reaching. A woman may not yet know what she wants fully, but her greeting can show that she wants to explore the possibility. The softness in her voice, the lingering eye contact, the slight rise in warmth, these are her ways of saying, "I notice you," without needing to make a proclamation. Understanding these quiet expressions doesn't require you to decode her or read her like a puzzle. It requires presence. It requires paying attention to emotional undercurrents rather than relying solely on surface-level behavior. When you begin to observe these small signs of desire, you connect with her on a deeper, more intuitive level, one where attraction unfolds gently, naturally, and without force. How a woman acknowledges your presence in the very first moment reflects how safe, seen, or intrigued she feels around you, because greetings carry emotional information that goes far beyond politeness. Every human being reacts differently depending on the atmosphere someone creates for them, and a woman's greeting is often her instinctive response to the emotional environment you represent. When she speaks to you, her body language, facial expression, and voice reveal whether she feels comfortable, cautious, curious, or drawn in. These reactions are rarely calculated. They emerge from her sense of relational safety and the level of emotional resonance she experiences when she encounters you. If she feels safe with you, her greeting often carries openness. You may notice ease in her posture, a natural softness in her voice, or the absence of tension in her expression. There is a type of presence someone adopts when they are not guarded, a relaxed authenticity that emerges only around people who feel trustworthy. This doesn't necessarily mean deep trust. Sometimes it simply means your energy feels stable and grounded. She senses that she doesn't need to perform or protect herself in your presence, and this recognition can be heard in the unforced warmth with which she speaks your name or says hello. On the other hand, if she feels particularly seen by you, seen in a way that awakens something deeper, her greeting will often reveal a different kind of energy. It may carry an undercurrent of excitement or anticipation. Her eyes might linger a little longer, or her smile may arrive slightly before her words. Feeling seen is powerful, especially for women who navigate a world that often looks at them without truly noticing them. When you make her feel like her presence matters, her greeting naturally shifts into something more engaged, more alive, more intentional. And when she is intrigued by you, her greeting becomes a subtle blend of curiosity and invitation. She may experiment with tone, offering a playful note. She may step slightly closer, signaling an openness to connection. She may greet you with a hint of unpredictability, as though testing whether you can meet her on that same emotional wavelength. Intrigue shows up in gestures that feel charged, in energy that feels slightly elevated, in expressions that flicker with interest before she even speaks. These emotional cues unfold in seconds, yet they reveal far more about her perception of you than the words she chooses. The greeting you receive is shaped by how your presence impacts her internal state. When you learn to recognize whether she is feeling safe, seen, or intrigued, you move into a deeper emotional literacy, one that allows you to engage women not just through words, but through awareness of the subtle relational signals they naturally express. Men who notice nuance build deeper connections because they are attuned to the emotional frequencies that shape human interaction, especially in the early moments of contact. Most people listen to words, but very few listen to intention. Very few observe the micro-expressions that flash across a face before someone regains composure, or notice the shift in breath that comes when emotion appears unexpectedly. When a man begins to pay attention to these subtle details, he steps into a different kind of relational awareness, one where connection is built not through performance but through presence. A woman's greeting is filled with these nuances, small signals that reveal the emotional landscape she occupies when she stands in front of you. When a man notices the gentleness with which she says his name, he understands that warmth has a tone. When he observes the slight hesitation before she speaks, he recognizes that emotion often arrives before clarity. When he picks up on the glow in her eyes, even if it appears for only a split second, he sees that attraction is often expressed in micromoments rather than grand gestures. These nuances are the raw data of human connection. They offer insight into how she experiences him, and whether she feels drawn, comfortable, or intrigued. Most importantly, they help him understand her emotional truth without requiring her to spell it out. Women often communicate interest, comfort, and curiosity through subtle relational cues rather than bold declarations. This is not secrecy, it is sensitivity. It is the instinctive way many women navigate emotional territory. A man who notices nuance doesn't misinterpret these signals as games or tests. He sees them for what they are, invitations. He responds not by overwhelming her, but by meeting her at the same level of emotional sophistication. His awareness allows her to relax, because she feels understood without having to explain herself. This kind of presence creates an atmosphere where trust can grow naturally. Noticing nuance also means recognizing what is not said. If her greeting is softer with you than with others, that difference matters. If she lights up at the sound of your voice or shifts her body in your direction without fully realizing it, those actions carry meaning. When a man acknowledges these moments internally, it deepens his emotional intelligence. He becomes more grounded, more receptive, and more attuned to the emotional reality unfolding between the two of them. This sensitivity does not make him passive, it makes him more connected, more aware of shared chemistry, and more capable of building a relationship that feels genuine rather than forced. A greeting is the doorway to emotional chemistry because it is the moment when two people's energies collide for the first time, revealing truths that might remain hidden in later, more polished interactions. In that brief encounter, she is not yet performing, not yet calculating, not yet managing expectations. Her instinctual response to your presence emerges before she has the chance to edit herself. This makes a greeting one of the purest moments of connection, a place where genuine attraction, curiosity, or emotional resonance can be felt more clearly than in any rehearsed conversation. The way she says hello becomes a kind of emotional fingerprint, unique to how she experiences you. When there is unspoken chemistry, it often surfaces in the tiny details of that greeting. Perhaps her smile appears before she even realizes it. Perhaps her voice softens without her intending it to. Perhaps she leans in slightly, or tilts her head, or her eyes flicker with curiosity in a way that feels almost involuntary. These subtle reactions are the echoes of an inner world responding to yours. They hint at possibility, at desire, at interest she may not yet be ready to articulate. Chemistry doesn't announce itself loudly at first, it hums underneath the moment, and a greeting is one of the few places where that hum can be heard. A greeting also reveals how emotionally open she is to you. Some women greet out of habit, with practiced politeness. Others greet with presence, with intention, with a kind of attentiveness that signals, I am aware of you. When she greets you with full presence, it means she is meeting you not just with words but with attention, the truest form of interest. This level of presence is often what ignites early connection. It suggests that she feels emotionally engaged, not simply socially obligated. Chemistry often forms in the unspoken space between you, the place where energy is exchanged without words. A greeting is the spark that lights that space. It is the moment she reveals whether she feels drawn toward you or merely passing by you. Even the smallest nuance in how she greets you, whether it's an added warmth, a playful tone, or a softness reserved only for you, can reflect a deeper emotional current. When a man learns to recognize the doorway hidden inside a greeting, he stops relying solely on explicit signals. He begins to understand that attraction is a language spoken in glances, tone, and emotional shifts. He learns that the beginning of chemistry often resides in the first second of contact, long before either of you realizes what that moment might grow into.